was about 18 years old when this happened. There was a local Chuck E. Cheese restaurant close to our house. I thought I was the luckiest guy on the planet because I could take a 7-minute walk there if I was bored or too lazy to cook at home. But I especially wanted to stop by Chuck E. Cheese during the summer season since it was the local hotspot where every teenager would have fun at since nothing else was around. The problem was that, in the summer, Chuck E. Cheese was packed. I couldn't find a place to sit, and even when my meal was to go, I still had to wait in a long line. But of course, this is when Chuck E. Cheese and Five Nights at Freddy were still at the top of their game, so many people went there to eat. Some people played in the ball pit area, while others like me went to the arcade section. It was common for me to eat some Chuck E. Cheese pizza before playing numerous games, and those were some of the most memorable days of my life. I especially enjoyed playing the Street Fighter arcade game, but on one particular night, something very strange happened. I went to the washroom to take a dump after having so much pizza. Then, from the corner of my eyes, I saw this troubling figure by the sink. He was some kind of creep who made these gurgling sounds as he twitched like a psycho. He looked like a crackhead zombie in his 40s, but whatever he was on made him look even older. The man was eerily staring at me the whole time, looking at me from head to toe like he wanted to eat me. Then, when I couldn't take it anymore, I said,
"Hey sir, is everything okay?"
But the bizarre man didn't answer. Instead, he made me feel more uncomfortable as he twitched and made weird noises. At this point, I wished someone else would also enter the washroom to break the awkward silence, but oddly, no one else came through that door. Eventually, I decided to use one of the cubicles and stay there until the creep left. But unfortunately, it was a small washroom with only 2 toilet stalls, so there was little to create a gap between us, being the only 2 people there at the time. Without delaying any longer, I slammed the door and went for it. However, just as I used one of the stalls, the creep entered the vacant one next to mine. It sounded like the man was snickering, snorting, and acting weird. I tried to ignore him since he wasn't doing anything wrong, thinking I'd be leaving the washroom as soon as I was finished. However, as I kept going, the creep started to relentlessly bang on the wall, dividing us like a psycho. I could feel my heart pound out of my chest as he then yelled,
"What the hell is that smell?"
I was confused and terrified as I unloaded tons of crap. My mind forced me to hurry up and just get the hell out of there. I was sweating like crazy, remaining on edge as the creep repeatedly smashed his fist on the wall. Moments later, I began hyperventilating, wishing for the first time that I didn't have too much of that pizza. Better yet, I should have ordered it to go and enjoyed my meal at home in peace. But it was too late for that. There was a minimal chance of escaping, and I was too anxious to think of another way out. Then, suddenly, the banging stopped, and before I could do anything about it, the door to my stall opened wide. That's when the strange man came inside and grabbed me by my collar, yanking me into the air and tossing me outside the stall. With my pants down, I struggled to get up, not expecting this situation to be more intense and life-threatening. So, at the time, I was convinced this man was here to harm me. As the creep slowly approached me, I could see his eyes still twitching and his head tilted to the side as he smiled an ominous grin. I pulled my pants up as fast as I could and started limping towards the exit. From the corner of my eye, I could see the creep reach into his pocket while undermining my ability to escape. I didn't want to wait long enough to find out what he was pulling out, and so I ran toward the door. But as I glanced behind me, I saw the creep running toward me with a screwdriver in one hand. I immediately opened the door and slammed it shut while simultaneously hollering like a crazy, saying,
"Help! Someone's trying to kill me! Someone help me!"
All the customers in line panicked and ran for the exit door, screaming at the top of their lungs. Parents were grabbing their children from the ball pit area and leaving. People dining in had no choice but to leave their meals behind and prioritize survival. All that noise alerted the staff, pushing them to surround the washroom and subdue the creep just in case he exited the washroom. The customers that remained in the venue shielded themselves with chairs, while others stood behind the tables dialing for 911. The tension in the room was chaotic as there was no sign of the man exiting the washroom anytime soon. Moments later, the cops arrived, eventually kicking the door down and arresting the man. Luckily, no one was injured and the man was safely transported to the police vehicle as his eyes were still fixed on me. It was later revealed in the local news that the lunatic was an addict who thought of doing his mess in the Chuck E. Cheese washroom, and unfortunately, I got caught up in all of that mess. After that, I never saw Chuck E. Cheese the same ever again. The next time I had anything from Chuck E. Cheese, it would come from an online delivery service. However, there was now that part of me who was always anxious, looking through the window, hoping the delivery guy would not be that creep I met at Chuck E. Cheese. This story was inspired by a true incident that happened at a Chuck E. Cheese located in Orange County, California. A few customers started complaining to the staff on how the restaurant began having a strong, unpleasant odor coming from the men's washroom. Police were then called, and it was later revealed that 2 of the men were occupying one of the bathroom stalls while getting under the influence using undisclosed substances. They were then arrested and sentenced accordingly.
Good day, all passengers boarding. Please ensure that all carry-on bags are safely stowed underneath the seat or in the overhead compartments. If you need assistance stowing your carry-on, please ask a flight attendant for help. And please do not forget to subscribe to Horror Shorts Party. Sit back and enjoy the ride.
Can you please just put it under your seat? You're holding everyone up.
Sorry about that. I just need a second. I don't think it'll fit under the seat.
Well, then maybe you should have put it in checked baggage instead of being cheap.
There we go. Money saved.
Stupid bag! Why can't you fit inside this stupid little slot? I didn't pack that much bikini bathing suits. Darn it! It must be all the lotion and toys I got from Naughty and Not. Excuse me, flight attendant! I need help fitting my bag in here because someone is taking up all the room!
We can just put it over here in the next one if that's alright, ma'am.
Fine, I guess I'll just work around Mr. Beats by Dre over here.
Thank you for cooperating.
Get out of my way, Blondie! Don't patronize me! Just let me get to my seat! Excuse me, coming through! Make some room, Mr. Beats by Dre!
Whoops. Sorry. Go ahead.
Your body is as piggish as your attitude. Why do I always get seated next to the worst people?
I'm just gonna ignore that.
Attention passengers, we will be taking off shortly. Please ensure that all bags are properly stowed and all electronics have been switched to airplane mode. Please fasten your seatbelts and prepare for a smooth flight.
Thank heaven for noise-canceling headphones. Otherwise, I would have to knock those nasty dentures out of her mouth to get her to shut up. Man, 50% battery already?
Hello, would you like any refreshments, sir?
Yeah, could I have some coffee?
Sure thing.
Thank you.
And for you, ma'am?
Do you have any good wines, or do you just have the cheap stuff?
Well, we have some Pinot Grigio, Pinot Noir, Merlot.
So, just the cheap stuff? Whatever. Give me a Pinot Grigio.
Absolutely.
Careful, Blondie, don't spill it! Jesus, I've never experienced so much turbulence on a flight in my life!
Don't worry, I've got steady hands.
Probably because you're a stupid little thought that works at OnlyFans.
Excuse me?
Hurry up and give me my damn wine, pube liquor!
Alright, here you go, ma'am.
Oh, disgusting!
I'm sorry, would you like to try another?
Hell no! Get the hell out of here with your Dollar Tree wine, lady!
Sure thing.
I've never tasted tasted anything so putrid.
I don't know. The coffee's alright.
Yeah, right. It just looks watered down.
I guess I'm cheap.
I'm sure you are, Piggy.
What did you just call me?
You heard what I said, Peppa Pig. Now put those beats by Dre back on your little cranium before I really give you the beats.
What the hell?
What's going on? Don't you know how to fly a plane? I'm fearing for my life here. Someone give me a tutorial on how to wear this mask.
Everyone, please remain calm and put on your oxygen masks. Please remain in your seats.
I can't see anything.
Oh God, I gotta say goodbye. I'm recording this for my family. I don't know if I'll ever see you again, so I just want you to all know that I love you. And to Sarah, I hope you already know that you are the best thing that ever—
Get out of my way!
Hey, what are you doing? Are you crazy? Get back in your seat!
Shut up, you little pig! Get off your smelly tail and do something useful with it! Block that hole with your body! Come on, get up!
Hey, get off me! I'm on a seatbelt or you're gonna—
Help me!
Oh God, what is happening?
I'm reporting this to your manager!
Everyone, please remain calm.
Sarah, I didn't get to finish what I was saying. I hope you didn't see that. I was just trying to tell you that you were the best thing that ever happened.
Everybody brace yourselves!
Oh, thank God.
Attention everyone, we have safely landed on the ground. Please continue to remain calm and find an orderly way to the nearest exit.
I think I know who those belong to. Somebody's got to hold on to the only thing left of her. This story was inspired by an incident that happened on a Southwest Airlines jet. A malfunction occurred on the plane where the engine got blown out, causing the plane to hurtle out of control. One of the passengers shown on the photograph below had enough composure to film a video saying goodbye to his loved ones. At the end, everyone miraculously survived. It was rumored that one of the passengers nearly got sucked out of a broken window, thus birthing this animated short.
This happened several years ago, when I was still in high school. It was during summer vacation, in the middle of July. My parents were celebrating their 20th anniversary, so they left me alone in the house for a week while they went on a retreat to some secluded place hours away. I was an only child, so I was used to house sitting. It wasn't like I was worried about it though. I knew not to answer the door for strangers and we had plenty of food. Plus my parents had a Ring doorbell, which meant we had a camera at the front of the house just in case. I was actually kind of annoyed at the presence of that thing because it meant my parents could easily find out if I brought anybody over without permission. Unfortunately, that meant no parties. But honestly, after the 4th of July weekend, I was done with partying for a while. I looked forward to kicking back, relaxing, and doing nothing for a whole week. The first 3 days at the house were uneventful. All I did was eat, sleep, watch TV, and play video games with my friends online. However, the nights got weird. I had a lot of trouble sleeping. I would toss and turn until sunrise before I finally slept. But whenever it was dark, I was squirming with anxiety. I kept hearing things, like tapping or knocking sounds. I couldn't tell where they were coming from, but I was too freaked out to find out, and not dumb enough to get out of the bed in the middle of the night to go looking for trouble. I tried to ignore it by wearing headphones or playing the TV. Of course, by the 3rd night in a row of it happening, I was starting to get annoyed. On the 4th night, though, this inconvenience morphed into something much worse. I was in the living room watching TV, and the whole day that led up to this moment, nothing made it seem like anything unusual was about to happen. But then, at 1 o'clock in the morning, the Ring camera bell rang. A chill went through me. I was already on edge from what was going on the previous nights, but now there was really somebody at the door. I immediately muted the TV and sat almost completely frozen except for my own pounding heartbeat. I swore to myself that I had to be hearing things, but then it rang again. Panicking, I jumped up and turned off the lights in the TV, but right away I realized the mistake I made. Turning everything off and trying to hide in the silent darkness was no use. Whoever was out there would have definitely heard the TV go silent and clearly see the lights go off, making it obvious that I was inside. I kept thinking over and over again like a crazy person. Why is there someone at my door at 1 a.m.? Who rings the doorbell at 1 a.m.? That's when I finally thought to check the Ring camera through my phone. And what I saw was the most bone-chilling thing I've ever witnessed. There was a psycho at my door dressed as Ronald McDonald the Clown. He was looking straight into the camera. The sight of it alone petrified me. I didn't know whether I should answer him through the doorbell or just call the cops right then and there. But all I ended up doing was watching as he rang the bell again and again and again. He just kept smiling while tilting his head to the side, waving creepily. I couldn't take being on the same level as him anymore. So I bolted upstairs to my bedroom and locked the door. I sat there in the dark, watching him on my phone and hoping to God that he would just leave. But he didn't. He did the opposite. He started talking to me.
I know you're in there. I can hear you. I saw you. I can even almost smell you. You're in there somewhere. And you're all alone, aren't you? Just kidding. I know you are.
The sound of his voice petrified me. I had no idea who he was or what he wanted with me. I was scared out of my mind.
I'm sorry, are you hard of hearing? I said open the door, dipshit!
I was so afraid that I started to cry. I crawled onto the floor of my closet and hid there as the clown continued to torment me. That's when he took his hands out from behind his back and flashed a huge machete in front of the camera.
I know you can hear me, you spoiled little brat. Just open the door and I'll give you a free Big Mac. What do you say, kid? Just open the door, or I'll have to open it myself!
I knew by then that this man was completely psychotic. Suddenly, he raised the machete into the air and pounded it against the door. I heard that awful thud ring out through the entire house, but it wasn't just one. Once he got started, it was like he really couldn't stop himself. I could see the splinters flying off the door onto his face. He was making his way through, and it wouldn't be long. I cursed myself for not calling the cops earlier, as I knew the clown would already be inside. I then forced myself to go to my window and open it up while screaming for help at the top of my lungs, saying,
Help! Somebody! Someone's breaking into my house! Help!
I screamed until I was completely out of breath. Then I checked my phone to see if the clown was still at the door. But he wasn't. There was just a pile of wood chips left in the foyer. Another chill went through me as I realized he could have left, or he could have made his way in. I hid in the closet again and called my parents to tell them what was happening. They started making their way home and notified the police immediately. They told me not to make a sound until the police arrived. All I could do was spend the last several minutes in an absolute hell, just waiting in isolation and total fear. The cops eventually came before long and did their investigation, only to find out that my attacker had fled as soon as I started screaming. The worst part of it was when we checked the Ring doorbell footage from the previous 3 days. We saw that he was there every single night, taunting with the machete, just smiling and waving like a psycho. But what makes this even more disturbing was how I now knew he was the one making the sounds at night. I just don't understand why he did it, and unfortunately, he's never been found. This story was inspired by a disturbing Ring camera video of a man wearing a clown mask while menacingly tormenting someone's home. What makes the footage more unsettling was how the clown had a machete on hand and would tap the owner's camera with it during the middle of the night. The clown has since been at large and unidentified.
Hey babe, where are you?
I'm heading home.
From what? Work was done 2 hours ago.
Relax. I'm on the way to pick up something from Facebook Marketplace first.
What is it? More shoes? A vibrate?
No, it's something for you, dummy.
Oh, really? What for?
For your birthday?
Oh, why, that's so thoughtful of you, sweetheart. Anyway, what are you getting?
Well, of course I'm not gonna tell you. It's supposed to be a surprise.
Oh, come on. If you want it to be a surprise, just wear a plus-size Catwoman costume and pick up my prescription so that my flute can be a clarinet tonight.
Relax, old man. It's not your birthday just yet. You can get all your presents when it's officially your birthday, okay?
I guess you're right, but you should still tell me what you're getting.
Ugh. Fine, if you must know. It's a cheap freezer I found on Facebook Marketplace.
Of course it's cheap. I mean, that's awesome. I could totally use that. There's space in the garage and I could keep my steaks and beer in it. Thanks, babe.
Yeah, I knew you'd like it.
You were right. You should have let me come along, though. I've always thought that Facebook Marketplace stuff was kind of sketchy.
Yeah, I can take care of myself, you know.
I didn't mean it like that. I'm just saying you never know who you're gonna run into. Will you just call me when you get there?
Well, I'm basically already here. Hold on, just let me park. See? It's not that bad.
Not that bad. That place looks creepy as hell.
Yeah, you're right. I'll bring you in with me if it makes you feel any better.
Do you think you can do it without him noticing?
Yeah, I think so. I'll tuck you into my bra strap here. That way, if he starts checking me out, you'll know.
Yeah, that sounds great. Don't ever pay for some broken freezer either, alright?
Why are you so bossy today? Of course, I was already planning on bargaining with him. You act like we haven't been together for 30 years and don't think the same way at this point.
Alright.
Just be quiet, okay? I don't want this guy to freak out if he thinks I'm recording him.
I won't say a word.
Good. It reeks out here. Like some bums have been pissing on each other all over the curb.
Oh, you say the craziest things.
Shh! I said be quiet.
Hello?
Hi, I'm looking to buy the freezer from the Facebook Marketplace listing.
Oh, right. Come on in. Sorry about the place. It's a bit of a mess.
No, it's alright. I don't mind.
Well, here it is. I'll sure be sad to see her go. So, what do you plan to put inside of her? Some chicken? Steak? A lot of meat?
Yeah, right.
Then cough up the cash, lady. I'm sure you hide a lot of things in that cleavage.
Right. About that, it looks a little...
Spit it out! I don't have all damn day! Unless you're gonna stay over and pay some other way, woman.
Please give me some space. I have a boyfriend.
And I have a bottle of Grey Goose and a king-sized bed.
Sir, the freezer's not quite in the condition as advertised in the picture.
Yeah, and? What are you saying?
I was thinking $350 is a bit much. Why don't we do $250?
We'll do $350! You agreed to do that over the phone!
That's before I saw it in person, though. If $250's too low, how about $300? That's fair, isn't it?
Shut up! Don't try to tell me about fair when you're in the middle of ripping me off!
I'm not ripping you. Hey, stop checking me out, you creep!
I'm not checking you out, you ugly old tramp. Are you recording me?
What? No!
What the hell is this? A cop?
No, that's my boyfriend. I was just FaceTiming him. Now give me back my phone.
You've lied to me! Now you've really pissed me off! Take your stupid phone back!
Stay away from me!
Baby, what's going on? I'm coming to get you right now. I can see your location. Just stay safe.
I don't know if I can.
You can't hide from me!
Baby, listen to me. I love you. I don't think I'm gonna make it out of this.
Don't say that! I'm coming to save you! I'll make that sick bastard pay! You're gonna be alright! I see you! Here's Johnny!
Please, no!
Please, yes! Damn it!
Sir, don't go in there. It's too dangerous. Let the police handle it.
No, there's no time! Open the door now! Open up before I break it down! I've been expecting you.
Shut up! Where is she? Tell me now!
Calm down, old man. She's right here.
What is this? Some kind of joke?
No, you moron. Look inside.
No! It can't be! How could you? How? It was easy! And you're going in there next! Ah! Don't move and keep your hands behind your back! You're under arrest! You have the right to remain silent! Everything you say will be used against you in the court of law! You got that?
This story was inspired by a case regarding a 54-year-old woman who went to buy a fridge from a 26-year-old man on Facebook Marketplace as a gift for her boyfriend. Things unfortunately got heated when the woman and the seller had a dispute believed to be over the price of a refrigerator, which ended in a tragic fatality. The man has been arrested since and charged accordingly.
Man, is it sunset already? I feel like I haven't moved from this spot in hours. Another successful beach day, I guess. Whoa, good thing I'm not driving. What the hell is that guy's problem? He keeps looking at me.
Is everything all right, ma'am?
Yeah, I'm good. Just a little tipsy is all.
Let us know if you need anything.
Thanks. Come on. Hurry up. He's gonna be here any minute now.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm fine, thank you.
Just fine? At a resort like this? You should be a lot better than fine.
Well, you know, there's always room for improvement.
Huh, I guess you're right. What would improve your mood? Some companionship?
More like some solitude.
It's so funny. I like you. I love making friends on vacation. Don't you? Oh no! I hope we don't get separated.
Sorry. Excuse me.
Smells like fish. More or less smells like sushi. Anyone here just go to an all-you-can-eat? I guess we all know where that smell is coming from. A fresh scent of pheromones. Or better yet, someone hasn't showered yet!
You need to back off and give me some space.
Alright. I'm backing off. No need to cause a scene. Just got a whiff of expired salmon somewhere. That's better, isn't it? Just us two, and none of those other randos. Did I tell you how much I like you?
Did you forget to push your floor by any chance?
No, I'm sure I didn't forget a thing. I'm going exactly where I want to go.
So then your room is on the 30th floor, right? Jesus Christ! What's wrong with that guy? Why can't he just leave me alone? Come on! Where is that thing? There! Holy
You can't get rid of your old friend that easy!
Screw off, you weirdo! I don't even know you!
Yeah, you do. We go way back. You remember?
What are you talking about?
We go way back from the beach days. About 20 minutes ago.
You're crazy!
Come on, open the door, you stupid thought! I just want to get laid on my vacation!
No way! Not a chance in hell! Somebody help me! Someone's grandpa's trying to attack me! Help! I'm being attacked on the 30th floor! Help! Thank God.
Paradise Palms Resort Concierge, how may I assist in your relaxation this evening?
Excuse me, but you need to call the police right now. There's a man wearing a Hawaiian shirt about to walk through the lobby. He just attacked me in my room.
I'm so sorry, ma'am. I will right away. Hey, Felipe, call the police! Sorry again, ma'am. Is it room 3012?
Yes!
10-4, suspect in custody. He's believed to not be a guest in this building. Apparently, there's been multiple reports from other hotels of similar incidents recently. I think we might have found the guy. 10-4, what does the suspect look like? 10-4, suspect is a male wearing a Hawaiian shirt, heavy build, very creepy looking, and he has a mean smile. Roger. This story was inspired by a true story regarding a woman who went on vacation and stayed at a hotel room, only to be stalked and ambushed by a man named Marwan. A mugshot of the culprit can be seen below. Police say that the woman was able to miraculously defend herself as the suspect then left on foot when he couldn't get a hold of the victim. It was alleged that the suspect was somehow able to convince the front desk personnel to give him a key card to the room. Since then, the man has been a subject to similar accusations by dozens of women within the area.
This story is told in the perspective of an 18-year-old male. I've always enjoyed trolling my friends, classmates, and even sometimes my family on social media, especially Facebook, because there are so many boomers on there who just don't get it. I'm no stranger to people getting pissed off at me when they can't handle the jokes I make. I had no idea it would get so out of hand when I was mindlessly scrolling through Facebook and saw a girl I used to have a crush on in high school who we'll call Alexis post a picture with her new greasy boyfriend. He looked super weird and creepy, also kind of deranged, like he was on something. The girl I used to like wasn't looking as good as she used to either. At first, I was thinking, how did this scrawny, toothless gumsucker land the chick I was trying to bag for years? But when I took a closer look at her, I saw that she had not aged well, and she was starting to look just as nasty as the dude she was with. It was evident that I dodged a bullet by not getting with her, but it was extra funny because I knew that if she'd given me a chance, her life might have had a better trajectory. Anyways, I thought the whole thing was hilarious, so I reacted to it with a laughing emoji and went on with my life. Later in the night, it was roughly around 11 p.m. when my night would end up taking a turn for the worst. I got a notification from my phone. I picked it up and checked it for the first time in a while. I was surprised to see it was someone tagging me in a comment on my latest post, as it had been months since the last time I posted anything on Facebook. I opened it up out of curiosity and realized that it was the same account that my old crush had tagged in her post as her new boyfriend. It was clear as day that he was furious. The fact that I'd gotten a reaction just from leaving a laughing emoji made the situation even funnier, until I actually read the comment. It read,
What's so funny, punk? Do you think she didn't tell me about your ass? She still knows where you live.
This wasn't the first time people have threatened to come to my house, but the only reason it freaked me out was because there was a high possibility that she knew my address. I tried to de-escalate the situation by saying,
Hey man, it's not that deep. I'm just laughing because I saw Alexis on it.
For a moment, I thought it worked, so I put my phone down and went back to watching my show. But then a few minutes later, my phone started blowing up again. This guy was reacting to every single post on my profile with an angry face emoji and leaving target emojis and whatnot. At that point, it was becoming clear there was no way of talking to this guy that wouldn't feed into his angry stupidity. So I decided to stop interacting with him altogether and blocked him. Again, I set my phone aside and tried to watch TV, honestly feeling a little anxious about the whole thing. Not even a minute passed before my phone went off with another Facebook message. This time, it was a DM from a different account, but it was a totally random name with no profile picture and no post. And by the way it was typing, I knew it wasn't a bot, but the same guy. Yes, he actually made a whole new account just so he can keep harassing me. I just blocked him right away. By then, my pulse was pounding. I wanted to forget about the whole thing, but I still didn't get any rest. Seconds later, I got another barrage of messages, this time from my old crush's account. It was obvious from the profanity that it was the same guy texting me using her account though. Finally, I had enough and responded, knowing how desperate this guy was to get to me, so I typed,
"Dude, why are you being such a Karen over a stupid laughing emoji? What's your problem?"
Not even a minute later, he then responded back, demanding to meet up with me. So we set up a meeting point and agreed to settle our differences at a local plaza. To be honest, I was freaked out, but I wanted to get this guy off of my back more than anything. I then snuck out in the middle of the night and basically stole my parents' car. When I pulled up, the dude was already there, standing outside of his truck with a menacing smile. I made sure to park a fair distance away so he wouldn't run up on the car. I was deathly nervous, but I made myself go through with it. As soon as I stepped out, he started yelling at me.
"What are you waiting for? Get over here and try me!"
I don't want to fight you, man.
"What, are you scared?"
I just want to squash it. I came here so you know I'm serious.
"I'm serious too. Seriously gonna mess you up. Stop stalling and take your lumps already, punk!"
Suddenly, I couldn't stop shaking. I realized what kind of situation I had gotten myself into. It was dark out, and nobody was around. It was just me and this psycho tweaker with the senseless grudge against me. That's when I realized that this was not the kind of guy that would listen to words. But it was already too late.
Come on, man, we don't gotta do this. Ah!
Out of nowhere, the freak broke out into a sprint straight for me. I screamed and tried running away, but he closed the gap in an instant and grabbed me with a vice grip.
"Guess who got the last laugh now?"
This story was inspired by a true story regarding a tragic incident where a man named Isaiah reacted to a Facebook post with a laughing emoji. The post was of a male named Tanner posing with his girlfriend. It was believed that Isaiah reacting to the post with a laughing emoji could be misconstrued as someone making fun of it. Tanner did not like the emoji reaction at all and decided to meet Isaiah at a park to settle matters. Things went left, and Tanner has since been arrested and charged accordingly. I once found myself at Chuck E. Cheese a long time ago as a teenager. I didn't have any friends to hang out with, and I couldn't afford a lot of expensive video games, so I had to find different ways of entertaining myself. Honestly, I didn't expect to get much enjoyment out of the arcade games at Chuck E. Cheese. I was never really big on that old clunky style, plus I knew they would be surrounded by a bunch of annoying snotty brats. I still gave it a try though, and it's safe to say I regret that decision. I walked in on one of the nastiest, most depressing business establishments I've seen to date. Half the lights were out, and the ones that were left were flickering like crazy. There was a dusty draft going through the whole place, and the low ceilings made it feel like I stepped into a cave. I was genuinely shocked to see that there were actually customers patronizing this business, but upon a second glance, it was obvious that this was the only sort of place these families could afford to take their kids out on a Friday night. Most of them were as grimy and downtrodden as their surroundings. The front of the house people were not any different. They were soulless and could be seen arguing with the customers over their dissatisfaction. But it was worse than that. From where I was in the arcade, I could see a bit into the kitchen, and let's just say, I shuddered when I saw the cook that was preparing all the food. Clearly, nobody who worked there cared about their job in the slightest, and the janitor was no exception. With how filthy the place was, a reasonable person would expect the janitor to have a lot of work to do. But this guy was just sitting around like everything was fine and clean, barely putting in the effort to pretend like he was doing something at best. All he did was push around a dirty mop bucket and stare at everyone. Of course, me being taller than everyone else in the arcade by about 2 feet, I caught his eye pretty quickly, but for a while, he didn't do anything. He just watched me blow all my money on stupid games. When I was all out of coins, I was about to cut my losses and leave. However, as I was walking to the exit, I could feel someone running towards me. It was that creepy janitor. He went face to face with me saying,
You don't look like you're having a lot of fun. Is that true?
I guess that's why I'm leaving. Either way, I'm all out of money to spend.
I'm not trying to make you spend any more of your hard-earned cash. I just want to help you out.
What do you mean?
You see that ball pit over there?
Yeah? What about it?
Ever been in one of those before?
No, actually. I thought it was closed.
That's the thing. All the ball pits in every Chuck E. Cheese across the country are closed due to sanitary concerns. Just 'cause one dumb little brat pissed himself in it and made some girl have an episode. That ball pit is fine now. Actually, now that nobody's allowed in it anymore, it's cleaner than it's ever been.
But wouldn't I or you get in trouble if I go in there?
Look around. Do you think anybody cares? The parents only want their kids to follow the rules, but you're here by yourself, aren't you? And just 'cause you're tall, you've gotta miss out on real fun? Come on. Get in there. I'm sure you used to playing with balls.
Okay, sir.
That janitor was good enough with his words to convince me not to leave just yet, and to ignore the do not enter signs all over the ball pit and jump in. I had to lie flat to pretend to be submerged enough to sort of swim around. I guess it was a little underwhelming, extremely awkward too, being the only person in the whole place breaking the rules by going in the ball pit, but especially because the janitor didn't say anything once I got in. He just stared at me with a twisted grin stuck on his face. I stopped playing around and looked back at him, wondering why he was going back to being a total creep all of a sudden. But all he did was laugh. He laughed so hard that he had to distract himself and started actually mopping out of nowhere, giggling like the Joker the whole time. The flash of amusement was already gone once again, so I decided to get up. But when I lifted my hands out of the pit, I was shocked because my hands were covered in blood. I freaked out and jumped to my feet, only to find out that all my clothes were soaked in blood too. I screamed, leaping out of the pit and bolted for the door. On my way out, I heard the janitor cover his own behind saying,
I told you not to go in there, you little punk!
I didn't look back. I bet everyone on the street thought I was running from a crime scene. I didn't stop until I got home. I tried to maneuver my way inside as calmly as possible. I didn't tell my mom anything. I didn't tell anyone anything. I snuck into my room to change clothes and wash the blood off of me. Then I threw away the ruined clothes and blocked the whole thing from my memory. I never realized what happened that day until months later. There was a story on the local news about a janitor from the struggling Chuck E. Cheese who was being charged with a bunch of crimes. I immediately recognized the picture as the janitor I spoke to. It turns out that he was some kind of deranged psycho who got his kicks by collecting all the dead rats he found on the job and intentionally threw them in the ball pit just to lure unsuspecting victims into crawling around with the corpses. This story was inspired by a real-life incident that happened at a Stockton Chuck E. Cheese. A young male customer was playing in the ball pit area when he discovered a dead mouse inside it. A picture was then taken by the victim's guardians, who later confronted the manager, but denied any claims that it was a mouse and alluded to it being a wadded-up piece of paper. The victim has since rebutted, saying, I know what napkins look like, and napkins don't have ears, tails, and feet. The family has since avoided going to Chuck E. Cheese due to the trauma that night. Last summer, I visited home from college for the first time. I expected to be able to stay in my old room, but at the last minute, my parents told me that they had other guests that were also coming over, leaving no room available for me. I was a little ticked off by this, because my school was a few too many miles from home to go back and forth every day the whole week. So I booked a cheap hotel the night before I left. I was thinking that it could be a place where I could look forward to being alone, but I quickly had second thoughts about that. I knew it wasn't going to be a 5-star hotel or anything, but it was a lot dingier and draftier than I expected. However, what caught me most off guard about the place was the staff. I got a weird vibe from them immediately. They all had this soulless look in their eyes, like they were all dead on the inside. Strangely, they were dressed up in the uniforms I'd expect the staff of a super fancy hotel to wear, but there wasn't a smile in sight, just 1,000-yard stares. The most awkward of all was the guy who followed me to bring my luggage up to my room. I didn't expect them to do that based on how cheap the room was, but then again, there wasn't a word traded between us the entire time. Not in the lobby, not in the elevator, and not in the hallway. I couldn't help but stare at him though. I had no idea if he was the manager or the concierge, but whoever he was, it was obvious that the hotel was sucking the life out of him just by the way his hair was thinning out and how his face was drooping to one side. He wouldn't even look at me. He even opened my door for me but still wouldn't open his mouth to say as much as an "after you." I'm no Karen, so I wasn't about to get on his case about it, but I certainly thought it was weird. Once he stepped inside and set down my luggage, he lingered for a moment while finally making eye contact with me. I hesitated, not sure of what was going on, but then as soon as I figured he was waiting for a tip, I started pulling out my wallet.
Would you like a tip, sir?
I like the tip of something else.
The man then turned around and walked away, leaving the door wide open. As uncanny as the whole staff interaction was, I shrugged it off and chalked it up to the fact that maybe they weren't so good with English or something. For the rest of my vacation, I would head over to my family's for a while and then back to the hotel after dinner. The only thing I did was watch TV, but I struggled to find anything entertaining on the outdated catalog they had. I also never slept well in that room. I tossed and turned for hours just trying to get comfortable. I kept waking up in the middle of the night, hearing strange noises that made it difficult to relax again. But the real unsettling thing I was dealing with was waking up with inexplicably slimy toes. I seriously could not for the life of me figure out what was happening, but every single morning, the first sensation I woke up to was wet feet, specifically my toes. I figured it had to be some kind of leak from the ceiling. I called the front desk to ask if there were any problems with water leaks, but they said that there was no chance of that. I tried to shrug it off like I did all the other weird stuff that was happening at that hotel, and I might have been able to if it had only happened once, but it didn't. It happened every night. I would always wake up with slimy toes. Between that not having a place to sleep at my former home, I didn't have anywhere to rest or relax for my trip, which made it a real vacation from hell. As much as I wanted to get away from my family at the time, I dreaded going back to that hotel even more. On my last night before checkout, I had even more trouble getting to sleep than all the ones before. The sleep I managed to get was so light and fitful that I finally woke up at the right time. Or maybe at the wrong time. I opened my eyes and witnessed the most gag-inducing sight I have ever seen. It was that same decrepit-looking guy that took my bags up to my room, crouching at the foot of my bed with my feet in his mouth. Ah! For a moment, I thought I was having a nightmare and that the guy was my sleep paralysis demon, but then I knew it was real when I felt his tongue flicking around in between my toes.
Ah! What the hell are you doing, you sick freak? I smelled smoke. I was just checking for a fire, I swear. Get the hell out of here or I'ma call the cops! I'm leaving, I'm sorry, I'm really sorry! Keep your dirty mouth shut, you desperate sicko! Hey everyone, watch out, this guy's out here sucking toes without consent! Don't let him get to ya! He's lying, that's not true!
What in the... why?
After I emptied the contents of my stomach, I called the police and had them arrest that weirdo. As it turns out, he was actually the manager of the whole hotel, which kind of explains the condition it was in. After further investigation into the security footage, it was confirmed that he had made a spare key to my room and had been sneaking inside every single night I was in there, just to do what he did. I still can't believe I didn't wake up from him violating me sooner. This story was inspired by a true story regarding a guest that was asleep at a Hilton hotel in Nashville, Tennessee, only to be woken at around 5 a.m. to a man allegedly sucking on his toes. The man has been identified as the hotel night manager named David Neal, who claimed they were checking on the guest after smelling smoke. But unfortunately, there were no other reports of guests or staff smelling smoke at the hotel. He is now charged with aggravated burglary and assault according to the police.
What's up, man? Hey, are you still coming to Chuck E. Cheese? Bro, are you still really trying to go there? That's a little weird for our age, don't you think? Shut up, man. It's the only place with an arcade that's close by. I don't have a car yet, remember? Just ask for a ride somewhere else next time before you walk all the way to Chuck E. Cheese. The only people who like going there are babies and creeps, so which one are you? Get off my case, bro. I'll buy you half a pizza if you just come through. Now you're speaking my language. I'll be over as soon as I finish destroying my meat to your mom's only. What a prick. Man, this place is dead. Kinda sad, honestly. This place is almost as creepy without anyone. Well, at least I get the whole place to myself. Now, where's that coin machine? Oh, there it is. Awesome. Looks like a good amount. Let's see. What should I play first? Mortal Kombat? No, that's a two-player game, really. I should wait on Kyle for that one. House of the Dead? Maybe. I don't remember liking that one. Oh, Pac-Man. That's fun, I think. Here goes nothing. Oh yeah, this is gonna be a walk in the park. Come on, Pac-Man. Oh yeah, come on. Bring it on. You ghosts got nothing on me. 25 years with no girlfriend can do that to ya. Man, this is a lot easier than I remember. I can't believe I ever thought this was hard. Oh crap, am I gonna be the only one in this joint? Whatever. I guess I don't have to wait to use anything. Holy crap. It's Chucky. I guess it's just me and him left in this place. Why is he looking at... never mind. He's just doing his job. Just minding my business playing Pac-Man. Oh, man, come on. I'm on my way. It's about damn time. Alright, let's have another go at this. Don't look away. Just play the game. I got this. It's fine. I'm just playing Pac-Man. What am I so scared of anyway? It's just some loser in a rat suit making minimum wage. All I need to do is focus on the game. It's only a... Ah! Jesus Christ! What the hell is your problem? You can keep my tickets, okay, bud? Wow, there's a good game. I think I'm feeling some good old-fashioned pinball. This ought to be... Ah! What are you doing sneaking up on me like that? Well, I wanted to tell you about a special offer for our arcade lovers. How would you like to go backstage and play a game we haven't even put out on the floor yet? I don't know. It would make all your friends jealous. Sure, dude. Just show me after I take a leak, okay? That's a spirit. Why did I have to agree to this crap? I should have just kept my mouth shut. Dude, get out of here! Can you give me some privacy? Please stop looking at me! I'll get out as soon as I'm finished, alright?
Hurry the hell up! I don't have all day!
Okay, I'm coming! Follow me. Man, what am I doing? This is a bad idea, isn't it? There's definitely some kind of weird trap wherever he's leading me. Although, how bad could it be? Nothing bad ever happens in a Chuck E. Cheese, right? After you. Thanks. Where's the game, sir? You're in the game now. What? That's right.
and you'll never leave.
Ah! Get away from me!
Oh crap, this can't be happening. This can't be happening.
Yes! Yes! Run for me! Scream for me! Make it fun for me!
What the hell is this?
I see you found my friends! It won't be long before you're one of them! I just have to find those damn keys! Someone help me! There's no way out!
What the hell? None of you are real. None of you are real. None of you are real.
Open the door! Open the door! Let me in!
Dude, what's going
I'll
on?
explain later! Just go! Now!
A horrible discovery has been made at a local Chuck E. Cheese franchise, leading to the arrest of a man, 50, who was hired to be the beloved Chuck E. Cheese mascot. Police have found multiple victims left to rot inside the store, which happened to be stuffed into the spare mascot suits used by the alleged perpetrator.
This story was inspired by an urban legend where 5 individuals allegedly disappeared at a Chuck E. Cheese restaurant. The animation portrays a dramatized version of the alleged occurrence. There have been a few articles denying such allegations, but we'll let you be the judge.
I'm a 61-year-old male, and my health has only worsened. Sadly, I've been struggling with Parkinson's disease, a brain disorder that causes unintended or uncontrollable movements, such as shaking, stiffness, and speech deficiencies. But to add insult to injury, I couldn't sleep at night because of all the noises outside the house. I'd occasionally hear couples cursing each other, my neighbor's dogs barking, the loud engine of dump trucks, and cars honking like the drivers were always desperate to get home soon. But worse than that, someone would bang on my door from time to time, waking me up in the middle of the night. I usually brushed off the matter, assuming it was just a bunch of kids playing ding-dong ditch. If this was an idea of a bad joke, I didn't like it. However, I didn't have the strength or capacity to get out of bed and reprimand whoever was doing it. So, as a result, I'd suffer from insomnia, leading me to believe that my lifespan would be far shorter than I had hoped. But since I still wanted to live longer, I alerted my loved ones, especially my niece, who often cared for me despite her hectic schedule at work. So, worried it might be more than just a prank, she decided to have a Ring camera installed at my front door. At first, I told her that I didn't have anything valuable enough for robbers to be interested in, but then she told me that she was concerned about my well-being and that I should take this more seriously. She explained that installing a Ring camera would help us uncover the source of the noise. Then, she reminded me that I wasn't getting any younger and that I needed additional protection, especially when she wasn't around. So, instead of justifying myself, I took her offer, since she had a point anyway. However, following the camera's installment was a series of events that only made things worse for me, turning the next 2 years of my life into a living hell. Whenever we checked the camera, the footage would reveal an old man a few years younger than me, tampering with the device. But what made the revelation all the more shocking was how the man was my next door neighbor. He would constantly lurk outside of my front door at any given time, keeping me restless. I wasn't sure if he was trying to break in, or if he had nothing else better to do with his time. I didn't know how much of this harassment I could take, especially after seeing how he constantly fidgeted with the Ring camera, but nonetheless, I was still curious. I wanted to know what his true intentions were. However, my niece strongly advised against it, so momentarily, I wondered if he was the same guy who had been banging on my door late at night, back when the cameras weren't installed. During one of the nights, I remember seeing this creep use a black Sharpie to draw on the camera. It seemed like he was desperate to cover the lens but failed to do so. I could see the irritation on his face, giving me the feeling that he wasn't going to stop there. Then, in another scenario, the creep repeatedly hit the camera with a screwdriver, determined to remove it from its current position. Naturally, my niece and I were alarmed, so without a second thought, she called the cops, reporting that a crazy man was messing with our Ring camera. Then eventually, we filed a restraining order, hoping to keep this guy away from me, but none of the actions we took were able to stop him. He would constantly harass me, vandalizing my property. After that, he became more creative and aggressive. There was an instant where he would relentlessly hit the camera with the broom, constantly thrusting the wooden handle into the lens, hoping he could smash it. And when that didn't satisfy him, he finally got a hammer to strike it down. First, he stared into the camera like he was looking straight at me. Then, moments later, he smiled like the devil himself and repeatedly hit the camera until it was removed, going offline moments later. But to be honest, it was his blatant stares that kept me on edge. He'd display his gaunt face without a tinge of reluctance, remaining silent and manic for hours upon end. I couldn't make out what he was thinking, and occasionally, my niece would talk to me about moving to the countryside with our other relatives, but I didn't want to cause trouble for anyone, so I respectfully declined. Then reluctantly, my niece brought me another Ring camera, reminding me to keep an eye out for the lunatic who destroyed the other one. But as soon as the new camera was installed, it was only a matter of time before my deranged neighbor would show up again. One night, around 3 in the morning, I could hear thuds coming from my door. It sounded like my neighbor was up to no good again. I then opened the Ring camera app on my phone and saw one of the most disturbing sights I have ever seen. I could see my neighbor run face first like some unhinged psycho. It was like he was possessed, displaying zero emotion on his face as he slammed into my door. I remember cowering in my bed until the banging stopped, hoping the silent treatment would eventually persuade him to stop. After hours of constant banging, he would eventually stop. I then alerted my niece about the occurrence and even provided the Ring camera footage which she provided to the police. Days later, the creep was finally apprehended. When the cops investigated his house, they discovered a room where he had binoculars next to the window. The authorities speculated he had been observing me for a long time, but that wasn't the only thing they found that was strange, because in the next room, they found a dozen photos of me scattered across the table with my face colored in black, as if he was trying to erase them with his black Sharpie. When the cops asked me more about the creep, I could only tell them that he was my neighbor and nothing more. Whatever that man's intentions were remained a mystery, and since then, my niece has added Ring cameras in and out of the house, hoping there wouldn't be another crazy person watching me from afar. This story was inspired by one of the most horrific Ring camera cases on the internet. A 61-year-old man named Stephen Prasad and his then 39-year-old niece Victoria have been dealing with a long string of harassment from their 59-year-old neighbor Stephen Groves. During the events, Groves can be seen scribbling black Sharpie on Prasad's Ring camera, and there were even times where Groves can be seen hacking at the camera with a screwdriver. But the most chilling video of all was when he could be seen hacking at the camera with a hammer. No matter what restraining order or electronic tag the law has handed to Groves, it hasn't stopped him from further harassing Prasad and his niece. This happened around the fall of 2017. I'm a family man. We always threw these big get-togethers often. Almost everyone was pretty easygoing, with the exception of one individual, and that was my aunt. For as long as I've known her, she's always been the black sheep of the family. She always chose to be distant and act like the outcast. She always resented my mother for being the one who drags her out to the reunions. But my mother only does that because she wants her sister to feel included. Despite that, my aunt can always be found standing awkwardly in the background, avoiding everyone and squirming out of all of the family pictures. Whenever anyone tries to make conversation with her, she just gives them the cold shoulder. The other elders in the family have advised me to keep my distance. She never accepted help or went to therapy, but I always assumed that she had some kind of mental condition. That, or that there was something much worse going on in her life that nobody knew about. One night, after a family get-together, she had a little too much to drink and couldn't drive home. She was very upset about having to leave her car there since she lived almost an hour away, but she was barely capable of walking, so I wasn't going to let her get behind the wheel no matter what she said. I bit the bullet for everyone else and offered to take her home. It was already late, and I was exhausted, but I still tried to use the opportunity to make small talk. Unfortunately, she wasn't any less cagey just because she was intoxicated. On the contrary, she was even more bitter and explosive with her anger.
So, anything new going on in your life?
Shut up! You don't care about my life, so don't pretend to!
Of course I do. I wish I knew more if you'd let me.
I said I don't want to talk, so just shut up and drive me home!
The whole drive was the most awkward thing I've ever gone through in the last 20 years, and I've walked in on my son doing all sorts of things in his bedroom. And just to top it off, as soon as I parked in front of her house, she immediately jumped out of the car and ran inside the house like she was fearing for her life. Needless to say, I was left dumbfounded, but I shrugged it off and drove home. By the time I got there, my family was already asleep, but I was honestly pretty wired, so I wanted to absent-mindedly scroll through Facebook until I felt like I could sleep. There were tons of recent pictures from the reunion which I enjoyed looking back on. I kept scrolling until I reached some old post, and that's about when I decided I was ready to go to bed. But then, at the last second, I accidentally refreshed my feed, leading me to see the most disturbing thing imaginable. It was a post from my aunt being gagged and tied up in her home, like she had been kidnapped. The post was uploaded 5 minutes ago, and the kidnappers were posting pictures of her in that state like some sadistic freaks. She looked absolutely terrified. I knew she lived alone too, so there was nobody to help her but whoever saw her post. I immediately called up a bunch of family members on a group chat to tell them what was going on, and they all agreed that I should head over there since I was the one who lived the closest, while they called the cops. I didn't bother getting dressed. I ran to the garage in my underwear and peeled out in the middle of the night. I didn't want to be distracted by my phone while I was driving, but I was so anxious that I couldn't help but keep checking Facebook for updates. The worst part was, it seemed like her captors were taunting not just her, but all of us, posting videos of her crying for help. I tried to call her, but it went straight to voicemail. That's when I took the risk of filming a video while driving, tagging my aunt so I knew those sickos would see it.
Listen to me right now, you sick freaks. I'm on my way to deal with you right now. If I find you did anything to hurt my aunt, there will be hell to pay. You got that? Get ready to meet your maker!
While taking the video, I almost swerved into a ditch. Several agonizing minutes later, I arrived at her house, but it was already swarmed by cops. I didn't want to get in their way, so I waited outside. I was never close with my aunt, but I still cared about her just as much as anyone else in my family. Worse still, I felt guilty, knowing that she must have been ambushed right after I dropped her off. I felt like I should have gone inside with her, but it was too late to take anything back. I had to let law enforcement do their job. Unfortunately, it seemed like the kidnappers had escaped when the cops came out of the house. There was nobody being dragged away in handcuffs, which was disappointing. Later on, I remember seeing my aunt being escorted to a cruiser, presumably being taken to the safety of the police station and interviewed for the investigation. However, to the shock and awe of everyone who cared about her, the truth was that she had faked the whole thing. The videos of her being tied up, gagged. Begging for help was being fabricated and staged for attention. I couldn't believe it. My friends, family, and close relatives were all heartbroken, especially when we found out that she was charged with a crime for faking something so serious. All I know is that my aunt is seriously ill in the head and needs to get some help. The whole family has been traumatized by this, especially myself. This story was inspired by a case regarding a 38-year-old woman who intentionally faked her own kidnapping by posting disturbing videos on Facebook, showcasing her being bound and gagged while crying hysterically in a basement. A few of the screenshots of the video can be seen below. This eventually prompted terrified friends of the family to call the cops. During the interrogation, the woman claims that a man named Tony had taken her hostage, but it later became apparent that she fabricated the attack to get attention. The woman has since been charged with making a false alarm, which carries a maximum of 10 years. I've always been interested in dogs since I was a little girl, so now that I was much older, I decided to get 3 canines who could keep my parents and I company, guarding the house when we were away. They'd stay in the backyard where they had ample space to roam around and exercise their legs. It also meant that I didn't have to worry about furniture damage and getting them potty trained. The dogs have always been active and loud, so when we moved in next to my neighbor, who happened to be an old guy with a temper problem, I was a bit worried I'd receive complaints occasionally, but it couldn't be helped. The old man didn't have a tinge of reluctance in his body as he always bothered me and my parents. He'd rant non-stop, threatening to take his complaints to the authorities if we didn't comply. But there wasn't anything we could do about their barking. They're dogs, after all. It's in their nature to bark. So, who was I to stop them from being themselves? He'd often holler about how the dogs ended up on his property, pooping all over the place and messing things up. But I always gave him the cold shoulder, convinced that a frail, deranged man like him could do us no harm. To be honest, he didn't have many friends in our neighborhood. Actually, I don't think he made any friends at all because of how rude he was to everybody. On some days, I'd wake up to his loud voice, followed by an ambulance of remarks that would leave my other neighbors disturbed. It's a bit strange though, because no matter how many times he reported to the cops, he would constantly be ignored by them. Then, one night, my dogs barked again like they usually did. I was personally used to the sounds, but I knew it was probably irritating the old man. Then around 5 minutes later, I could hear footsteps approaching my house. The footsteps then transferred onto the porch.
You'll regret this! You won't always be around to protect those pests, you stupid little nut licker!
The crazed man stomped his feet on our porch, banging on the door and making threats over and over again. This went on every night. Every time my dogs made noise, he woke us up in the wee hours of the morning, unaccountable for the disturbance he was causing my parents and I. My parents were old, unable to stay up late like they used to, and I needed to go to work when the sun was up. But the old man didn't care about any of that. By the time I got out of bed, stepped onto the porch to confront the man, he would always walk back to his home, leaving me worried about me and my parents' safety. And during the day when I saw him on his porch, I would make it known that I wasn't pleased with his antics and that I would alert the authorities if he didn't stop. The man always seemed unfazed, as if he thought I was bluffing. He would just grunt and murmur things I couldn't quite understand and head back inside his house. My gut feeling told me that he was up to no good, but I didn't trust my instincts. So alternatively, I shrugged it off and pushed through with my plans for the weekend. One day, I visited my relatives in New Jersey along with my parents, leaving the dogs behind. I was at peace knowing that one of my kinder neighbors volunteered to feed the dogs and monitor them whenever they had spare time. However, during the days that followed, I received a call from her, telling me that the dogs were behaving in an odd manner. They didn't play ball like they used to and stopped barking as much as they usually did. It was the summer at that time, so I assumed they could have been affected by the heat. When I asked her what she fed them, I found nothing wrong with her reply since she gave them food and water according to my list. So, with overwhelming anxiety, I persuaded my parents to return home earlier than we initially intended. We packed our stuff, and once we arrived home, It was easy to see that our dogs had fallen ill. They laid flat on the ground, their ears droopy with their eyes reddish. One seemed to be gasping for breath while the other drooled incessantly. My body trembled, knowing this was out of the ordinary and that their lives were now in danger. I couldn't help but draw the conclusion that my neighbor had to be the one responsible for this. My parents and I checked the Ring camera, convinced it would be the best way to check any possible leads in the surveillance system. And as soon as we did, my heart sank, filling my body with rage. With our eyes glued to the phone screen, the Ring camera revealed the old man from next door throwing something from a plastic bag onto our yard. The man was feeding our dogs, but I couldn't tell if it was actually dog food or not. Of course, I didn't think twice and called the cops as I didn't give him permission to do such a thing. The police then arrested the man and took him into custody. We immediately brought them to the vet and had them checked, and what was discovered sent chills down our spines. The doctor mentioned that they had found traces of rat poison in their system, and that if they weren't admitted on the day we arrived home, they would have died in 2 days. But my parents and I were left more disturbed when we reviewed the Ring camera footage further, only to see the man walking by our house every other day, throwing tainted meat from a plastic bag onto our yard, just so the dogs could ingest it. Since then, I no longer saw my neighbor again after that incident, and fortunately, my dogs were saved. But I was so traumatized that I would keep the dogs inside the house, constantly looking for potential threats around the neighborhood. On February 6 of 2023 at around 5 p.m., a couple caught their neighbor on their Ring camera throwing meat laced with rat poison into their yard. Luckily, the couple and their 3 dogs were visiting family in New Jersey at the time of the incident. The man then left a chilling written note apologizing for his actions, alluding that he did what he did because of the dog's constant loud barking. The man has since been charged and is facing the possibility of being sentenced up to a year in jail.